your name can easily be tarnished as an advocate, because you remember you have come in, you didn't do, so me, I prefer, as the question the advocate does is you make sure at least when you're dealing with a client, start with them from the beginning. So the first thing for me, I normally do, immediately the client wants to buy a certain property, the first thing first, you, of course, your legal fees, at least you make sure you're on the same page, you give them your fee note, tell them doing the search, this and this. So what I normally do is, if it's an individual, what I do is, I first find out if this individual has an advocate representing them. Of course, after doing all the other due diligences. But as you all know, even doing a search, sometimes you may find that what I normally do is I make sure at least I find out if this individual has a legal representation. It's normally, if they have a legal representation, I also do a search on the advocate. I do a search on the advocate just to confirm this advocate is legit, the one representing the seller. And then now from there, now I start now communication with the advocate. So this is where now you start, after at least now you have confirmed, after doing even the other normal due diligence, doing the search and everything, you know this advocate is legit. And then for real estate companies, you do the same thing. You do a search on the company and also do the search of the advocate. Because I remember there was when a client buying from some Fanaka real estate company land, and then on doing research on the advocate, I came to realize that this advocate was my classmate. So at least in such scenario, you can even proceed with more confidence, because at least you know this is a legit advocate. So like chances are very high this person. So that the point is you go the extra mile of also finding out the person who is representing that advocate. And then in other scenarios also find out who, like after doing for instance, if it's an individual, your client wants to buy from the seller is an individual and is not even represented by an advocate. If this individual doesn't have an advocate, the seller now, make sure at least during the agreement you agree you will act for both of them. So you are the one who will obtain this. Don't make the mistake of letting the seller do the rest, because someone will go and get you a fake consent. So in an instance where, of course, if the person doesn't have an advocate, you can't do the research on the advocate. You now ensure you represent both parties, or you ask the seller. You tell the seller there's two options: either she or he gets an advocate, or you represent both parties. So in this scenario, you'll be in control. So at least you, even after doing the search and everything. And also another thing I've also learned: make sure you go to find out in court if there's any matter going on in that issue. Because the biggest now issue would be if it's already a matter that doesn't have a ruling. Of course, you can get it at Kenya Land Law Reports, because matters that you can search at the Kenya Law Report is matters that have already been that have ruling and judgments. So at least try and find out if this matter has any issue in court. And another way I normally do nowadays, things have been digitized. So I normally, I've gotten a clerk there with a friend. Immediately when you just ask, because you can check in the system, but at least nowadays, because of the COVID and everything, they have tried at least matters. You'll find matters, they have them on, and then, or even though they don't have the entire matter in the system, of course, if this matter has ever come for a mention or a hearing and everything, it will reflect. So these are the extra miles now as an advocate you have to do, going to court and finding out. Because I remember there was a matter we had, by the way he was saying, even though you have done all the questions, that's what I was telling you, there's where I had a client who had bought property, it was through succession. So even they even had the grant with the seal and everything. It showed the person who sold the property to them had been given that property through succession, which had already been sealed, like everything was legit. Then I just decided to go online and I Googled, Kenya Law Reports only, I just Googled the matter. Then I realized this same grant had been revoked. And the seller and my clients didn't know that part. They didn't know that the property had already, this grant had been revoked. So I think now the caution that most advocates should do, you go the extra miles. Don't just do this normal link. You have to go the extra miles. Go find out in court if there's anything. Make sure you're dealing with because you're dealing with a fellow advocate who is also licensed and is a legit advocate. So in these scenarios, you've already covered yourself in a way, because let's say if it's, for instance, me and another advocate, even the advocate only done for Fanaka, he's a colleague. So even at least you know this person, you were in school together, you know him. So at least even you can, in case of anything, at least you even have like repercussion for your client. And then another thing also, apart, and also they were saying, if it's an individual and they don't have an advocate represent, ensure you are representing either both of them, the seller also representing the seller, or ensure the seller gets an advocate. So in that way, at least you've covered yourself better. But I won't lie to you, you might have done everything, but still, I think it's because of the loopholes. I think the historical injustices that have happened in regards to land and everything, it's still, as an advocate, you might have done everything. That's what I was telling you. I know of Ivy League, you're dealing, sometimes you're like, I'm dealing with an Ivy League firm. I don't think these people can lie. So don't, and also another thing, as an advocate, don't assume, even though you're dealing with these big firms, don't assume that since you're dealing with big firms, there'll be no, just do your due diligence as though do your due diligence as though you feel there's something wrong already. Like, be so cautious. Because even the one I was telling you, the one for Tattoo City, the one Kabogo, like held the titles. I told my client, the client who came, I was telling her, right now, I won't lie to you, like it's too late, because you don't have anything to show you about that property. Because when you're saying the salesperson was not picking the calls, but I told her that the best thing first, the best I can do, because of course you can't leave a client without helping the person, because the person needed help. I told her, but the best, the thing I can do for you, because I have contacts at the land registry, I asked, let me do for you the search. On doing the search, the file was missing. So the best thing I can just say is, be extra cautious as an advocate while handling this. Be extra cautious. Take the extra caution. Another thing, you can go, like they were saying, just even in my book, they were saying some of the things you need to do is talk to the neighbors. Like where I was working before, my former boss is someone who has been in conveyancing for over 20 years. But that's what he does ever. It's something that may look stupid even sometimes. But then when the client is buying property, because even there's even a property he knew there's a case in court just by talking to the neighbors. He just goes, even he doesn't disclose that my client is buying this, just goes and tells the neighbors, nataka kununua shamba, kuna kitu naweza niambia about hii shamba, and he's like, hii shamba imekuwa na makesi kotini. So also just do the extra steps, that's the best thing I can say for that. That's the best, that thing I can just say, just do extra cautions. Like now they were saying, talking to neighbors, ensuring you check out the other advocate who's representing the other party, plus on top of doing the other due diligences. And then when doing the search, as I said, do the search, like ensure, thank God by this thing has been digitized. That's also good evidence. But sometimes if you went and did the search, chances are very high you might lose that document. So you may not have evidence to show, when I did the search, that this time I did it legally, and so I'm suing the land registrar. So I think even the digital thing is at least some of the things that is going to help. Doing everything online, there's evidence for everything. So I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, you have. So maybe as I go through the charts, you can tell us about your book and how we can get it, the e-copy and the hard copy. How can we get them?
Okay, so this is my book. My book is Simplified Legal Process of Buying Land in Kenya, and it's 1,000 Kenya shillings. So but I understand, since you have said most of your audience are students, I'm going to discount it. So if you are a student, I'm going to sell it to you at 600 shillings. So if you're ordering the book, to order the book, I think to order the book, is it okay if I say the contacts you can call?
Yes.
Okay. So you can call 0738 372 354, 0738 372 354, or 0705 399 908, either of those numbers, or you can send an email to info@ruftanuadvocates.co.ke. So so that you get that discount, at least I know you're part of the Sharia clinic. You can start you can have if it's via email, put the subject as Sharia Clinic, and if it's a text, you can start the text by Sharia Clinic. So I'll know, so you'll get the book at 600 shillings. And then I'm working on getting a PDF copy. The PDF are going to go for 300 shillings. So I'm still working on that because, you understand piracy. Selling your book in soft copy, you have to do a lot of protection. So, but I'm working on that. So if you're interested in buying the book, 0738 372 354 or 0705 399 908, or just send me an email, info@ruftanuadvocates.co.ke. And also, if you have, because of time, maybe if you have any further questions, or if you want to reach out about anything, just feel. I was a student. So if you feel you want to ask about anything, even maybe you're in KSL and you want to ask about maybe pupillage, or even like the legal career in general, just feel free to reach out through those. You can, through my email, you can send the info@ruftanuadvocates.co.ke. Thank you.
We have run out of time. We've even extended. It's now 9:28. We were supposed to end at. So what will happen? I can see there was a question on professional undertaking that we will do in the next.
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll set a date to come and do only professional undertaking.
Yes.
Because I've seen that's where they. Yeah.
Yes, I think those are. If I've not touched your question, I'm so sorry. It's in the interest of time, but you can email her, and we can also find you. Is it okay if we find you in your social media platforms?
It's okay. You can find me on my social Instagram. It's Lawyer Ruth Tanui or Law Simplified 2020, and then on LinkedIn it's Ruth Tanui. On Facebook it's Ruth Tanui, and then on YouTube, by there I share content on helping young advocates, because I bring in senior advocates, like Senior Dr. Kaskita was there sharing her career since she started. I think she has been practicing for over 30 years. And then I also bring in young advocates who have started their law firms, because what I can tell you, for you, you're still in that, you have not come out here. Getting a job is, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And let's understand, when you're still a student, then you be pupillage, then holding over, then sometimes, it becomes, because also me, I was in that place. So I've shared some tips that can help young advocates transitioning and also starting your own law firm. But it's not a hard thing. Luckily, before you had 2 years first to practice, work under someone for 2 years. But right now you can start immediately. So even I normally tell people, me while starting, I first started by just establishing a website. And then I started from there, start finding clients calling you, I found your website about this, and then you start from there. So feel free. By there, don't just feel free to ask anything. I'm open to answering any question.
So thank you. So I'll give the vote of thanks. So first of all, I want to thank you all for attending. This has been like the best. Even Rogers will tell you, we had like 100 people. People have reduced because maybe it was news time, but we had 100 people joining just to watch you. And even we had many others in the lobby because
President William Ruto's official Twitter handle confirmed that Aideen is back in Turkey and even apologized to the Turkish national.
I have muted him. So what was I saying? I was saying this is the best we've done as Sharia Clinic, and I think it's because you are coming and people maybe know you and they meet with you and to know the conveyancing process. So we are so grateful. Thank you to everyone who has attended the session. I believe you have learned a lot. There's still much more we are going to do, even as Sharia Clinic. And I will be able to share this meeting. I'll put it on YouTube. So if you have someone who needs to watch it, maybe they're at KSL or whatever, anyone who needs to watch it, they can find it at Sharia Clinic, our YouTube page. Anything else? Yeah, I want to thank each one of you and thank Advocate Ruth Tanui for according us this time and for having a very good presentation, interacting with us. We have not met, we just met on Instagram and you just,
yes.
you came and now we are grateful. We are so grateful and humbled to host you. So with those few remarks, I want to wish every one of you a good night, and we will plan on when we will have the next meeting on professional undertaking. You are free to leave. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you.